How great would it be to play professional basketball in your hometown or your home city? Well, let's find out. James French is doing just that. James, you're from Moncton. Welcome to the Atlantic Sports Wire, and you're playing for the Moncton Motion in the Eastern Canadian Basketball League. How's that feel?
It's an amazing feeling. Like you said, I'm a Moncton guy, born and raised. We were speaking earlier, used to watch the Miracles, watch the Magic. So now being in this position where I'm actually a player, going from fan to player is a pretty awesome experience. I'm definitely thankful and grateful for it all.
You mentioned the Moncton Miracles and the Moncton Magic, two former franchises that were professional level in Moncton. What was it like being a kid watching those teams play, and what kind of impact did it have on you?
A huge impact. I still remember the very first year the Moncton Miracles had a team. I remember some of those guys' name, Daryl Wong. He was like a celebrity in Moncton, right? So that was 10 years ago, and I still remember his name. So just having, those pro sports in Moncton was awesome. And, as a kid, you don't really see it as, you see it all as, pro sports and just in general. So just getting an autograph and a picture with any pro player is just a super cool experience. So, when I was younger and, being a ball boy and things like that, just having those interactions with those guys was just so cool. And like I said, I still remember them. So now being in this position and being able to kind of give back and do the same thing has just been incredible. So I definitely try to take the time to give back wherever possible and give out as many high fives, because I know what it's like being on the other end of that.
You've been a student athlete for a number of years, and you just finished your 5th year of eligibility. You're playing at Crandall University for the Chargers, but you've signed with the Moncton Motion, and you're still going to be going to university next year. Maybe just a little bit about how all that came about.
Yeah. So like you mentioned, I've been a student athlete for a few years now for sure. So I kind of have a routine down, an understanding of, what needs to be done. But yeah, it's different now. Playing sports is definitely a whole other level than college. So I have to put a little bit extra time in for sure. Then next year, I'll be back at Crandall, not necessarily in the classroom, but doing my practicum, teaching a grade 7 class. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's great, that I can also play professional basketball on the side. Some of the kids, that I was teaching a couple weeks ago were actually at the game last night. So it was great to see them. And, they were calling me Mr. French. So that was fun. So
that must be kind of cool, but also kind of surreal. And so you're going to be a student athlete, but you're going to be on the athlete side, a pro athlete. So that's definitely kind of neat, and good on you for doing that. Let's go back a little bit to your Moncton roots. What's your earliest recollection of picking up a ball and playing, and how'd you get interested in basketball?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I would say I kind of started out when I was like 4 or 5. I was always kind of a taller kid, had a lot of energy, had a hard time staying still. So my parents were kind of just like, let's just put him into sports. So I played soccer, it wasn't really for me. So then my dad thought, let's put him in basketball. He's tall. And then it just kind of worked out. I really enjoyed it. And I was lucky to have some really, really good coaches when I was younger that really made me love the game. And I made some friends early on that, I played with all through high school as well. So just having those early connections and positive experiences made me want to stick with the game. And I'm glad I did, because it worked out for me. So
what would be the biggest high school basketball rivalry in the hub city of Moncton?
Geez, it's a great question. When I was in high school, I would probably say Riverview for me, across the bridge, just because I had one of my best friends who I played basketball with and against kind of my whole life growing up, and who was also a teammate of mine at Mount A. He went to Riverview. So we kind of always looked forward to playing each other during those games. We'd kind of guard each other, talk a little smack just for fun. So that was a lot of fun. And we had a lot of close games for sure. Bernice McNaughton, go Highlanders. Come on. Yep.
Well done. Good job on you. And, you talked about going back to Crandall next semester, and you're doing your practicum now. What is it that you're going to be doing after your schooling, or what do you plan on doing?
Yeah, so I'll do my education degree, so obviously become a teacher, but I think that's kind of more of a short-term plan. Long-term, I'd like to, ideally, if everything works out, go back to school and do a master's in education counseling, where I can kind of be a guidance counselor or just a counselor in general. I think kind of my calling, I guess, is I feel like is to help people out. So that's kind of the long-term goal, is to be able to do that, whether that's in a school system or out just in general. Who knows? We'll see where life takes me, but I think that's kind of the plan for me, is where I'd like to go.
Let's go back and talk about your time with the Moncton Motion. What's it like just being around that environment of a professional team with other professional players, and also playing for a local legend, Todd McKillop, the coach?
Yeah. No, it's awesome. We'll start with Todd first. He's been great to me. So he coached me at Crandall this year. It was my first year with him as a coach. I mean, I obviously knew who he was and stuff, and he knew who I was from playing at Mount A, but we kind of hit it off right away, had a great relationship, which led to a great year with Crandall. And also kind of helped get me this opportunity to play with the Motion. And now kind of talking about my teammates, that's been the best part, honestly, for me, is just getting to know these guys who've had all kinds of great experiences playing basketball all over the world, have met some incredible people, played against some incredible NBA players. So just hearing these stories is great, and learning, when I decided to play for the Motion, my biggest kind of wonder, I guess you could say, was, how are the guys, what are they going to be like? And that was a pleasant surprise. Every single one of them are just great basketball players, but even better people, who have given me all kinds of advice to help my game, and, just life advice in general from what they've learned. And just great guys. Everybody supports each other, wants everybody to succeed. It's not about them, it's about the team. So it's just been great learning from players who have been there, done that kind of thing, and who want to kind of share their knowledge of the game with the young players such as myself. So it's been awesome.
And I've developed a bit of a theme over the Atlantic SportsWire episodes, and it is food and athletes. I like to know what food interests them. And for you, what's your game day meal? What do you like to eat before a game that just kind of sits right with you?
It's a great question. Honestly, I like to eat light on game days. I like to make sure I'm not overdoing it. So usually kind of just like a sandwich or a salad with some protein in there. But usually the night before, I like to have kind of a big pasta meal to make sure I got some good carbs in me, and I'm ready to go the next day.
Are we talking like regular spaghetti and sauce? Are we talking like a fettuccine? What's your go? Do you have a go-to pasta? What is it?
Yeah, great question. I'm an Alfredo guy for sure. So that's kind of usually what I like to go to. Add some chicken in there, but I like to mix it up, spaghetti, things like that. I'm pretty easy going.
See, that's the great thing with pasta is if you like Alfredo sauce and chicken, you can have 10 different dishes, because you can use spaghetti, you can use rotini, you can use penne, all kinds of stuff out there. We can have a whole other conversation just about pasta.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll wind up with you here in a second, James, but you talked about being that younger kid and being wide-eyed and being at the games and watching the pros play and trying to get an autograph, being a ball boy, trying to get a high five. What's your message to younger players that would be listening or watching this in terms of things that they should do from your point of view to get better and to pursue a basketball career?
Yeah. So a couple pieces of advice. I'd say always be ready to go. You never know when your time's going to come. When I was playing at Crandall, I thought for sure that, after Crandall, like that was it. I was going to retire. So, I had no idea that this opportunity was going to happen. So just, always staying ready to go is a big thing. And, if you're a guy that, kind of sits on the bench, you never know when your time's going to come in to get some minutes. So be ready to go. And when you're out there, do the best you can. And also I would just say, do the extra things, right? Everybody has to go to practice. That's kind of the baseline, but how many guys are stretching on their free time, going to the gym, getting extra shots up, right? All these little things are what separate, the great players from the good players. So making sure you kind of put the extra time in to separate yourself from everybody will kind of help you stand out and develop your game. So I'll just be mindful of those.
Great advice, James. Listen, we thank you for your time. So great to catch up with you. And it's really nice to see a hometown guy getting to play for the home side, Moncton Motion. We wish you continued success with basketball, but also with your university and what comes afterwards.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you having me, and go Motion.
Indeed. Go Motion. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, James.
Thank you.